And one solution is economic independence. If you have some degree of financial sovereignty, it does not take a lot of money to become economically independent. It just takes some financial responsibility mixed with the building of some sort of a capital base that can allow you to not have to spend all your time around people who want to traumatize you over and over and over again. But it also is a intergenerational plan. That's where the insurance policy matters. You leave the insurance policy, the kids have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, and you teach them how to be smart, responsible with the money. They don't have to go to work anymore. They're okay. They can actually stay in safe spaces. They can be around people that they actually trust instead of having to go and leave their safe space to go and get resources. See, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this is in psychology where they talk about human needs and the baseline needs. The most basic need, I think, is food and water. And then the next basic need is like security, like shelter, stuff like that. So if you don't have like the basics, like you can't feed yourself, which a lot of us can't feed ourselves without the corporate plantation, right? You can't feed yourself, then what happens is you'll give up your security to go get food and water. So you leave the security of your safe space. You know, you wake up, you're around your beautiful black wife, your wonderful husband, your beautiful kids, your wonderful family, and you leave that safe space to go across town to hostile territory to get resources because you can't feed yourself unless you go over there and ask Home Depot to do it for you, right? And so if you want the kids to be safe, then you say, no, we're going to make sure that you have all the resources you need right there in your safe space. For example, there are times I don't one of the things that keeps me from really being that angry with white folks is that I don't talk to them that much. I don't hate them. I don't have anything against anybody. That's not how I'm built. But I don't really talk to them. I can go 3 or 4 weeks without talking to a single white person. I kid you not. Literally, I talk to you. Most of y'all are black. There's probably a white person in here that sneaks in. It's okay. You're one of us. If you're smart enough to learn from black people, that means you're intelligent, and I respect you for that. But generally speaking, it's like I talk to my wife in the morning, talk to the kids in the afternoon, talk to y'all in the morning too. Have a couple meetings with other black people, watch a movie and then or something, I don't know, go to the gym and then go to bed. And that would be my typical day. And that's a day that I think could be framed for everybody. I think everybody, if you give the kids like the gift of entrepreneurship and teach them early how to start businesses and how to invest, who says they need to go get a job? It takes about the same amount of effort to invest and build a business as it takes to do backflips for your employer. It's similar. It takes about the same amount of energy to fill out the form for an LLC as it takes to fill out 300 job applications or whatever, right? Right. So why not make that the new paradigm? I really think that should be our new paradigm of thought. I actually, when in 2013, I wrote that short book. It's really short. It's called It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, a new paradigm for Black America. And in this book, I pretty much laid out 4 pillars for the new paradigm, and it's centered around wealth, education, family, and community. Wealth, education, family, and community. And all the community really is, for the most part, is a collection of families and some sort of, structure and, things like that, right? And so if you have strong families, you tend to have strong communities. And if you have wealth and education in those communities, then you have a strong Black America. That was and really around the world. It applies to any community anywhere. And so the solutions are not complex. What's complex is overcoming our brainwashing. So let me finish up on this. I'm going to finish talking about how your job is killing you. Here are some other ways that racism on the job affects your physical health. Cardiovascular problems. Chronic exposure to racism increases blood pressure and heart rate. How many of y'all know a black person that's got hypertension or had heart disease or had a stroke? Anybody? Anybody? I'm raising both hands because I got several relatives that have had hypertension, heart disease, and strokes. Well, that's probably linked to racism on the job, working with people that don't like you. A lot of psychology studies show that if you are in a space where the people around you or a person near you has contempt for you, you are more likely to die early. That's like even a bad relationship. That's why contempt is one of the 4 horsemen of an argument. You have to avoid the contempt because if you have a partner that has contempt for you and you have contempt for them, y'all pretty much are killing each other. That's some black on black homicide right there. All right, let's keep going. Um, let's see here. So basically black people who face workplace bias are at significantly higher risk for cardiovascular disease by midlife. It weakens your immune system. Long-term stress reduces immune response, making the body more vulnerable to infections and slower to heal. So black workers tend to have more sick days and are less likely to report them though because they're afraid of losing their job. So not only are you more likely to be sick, but you don't even take the day off, so which makes you sicker. Insomnia and fatigue. Workplace racism creates a state of emotional alertness, right, where you feel like you have to live with your head on a swivel. That disrupts healthy sleeping cycles, which leads to fatigue, irritability, and decreased productivity, which then gets used as false proof of underperformance. And also, a lot of times people will cope with through things like eating, which can cause obesity. If you notice, a lot of our folks that are overweight, and so I would encourage everybody who ends up sort of feeling this way, go to the gym. Like get some of that out of you. Like don't just carry all that in you. When I see someone that's like morbidly obese, I because of what I've been exposed to through my wife, all I see is trauma, built up trauma that hasn't been released. That's what I see. I just see it's like a trauma response. It's like you're wearing your addiction on your body, right? So ultimately, the studies show that excessive eating is just it can be a coping mechanism. Like and really this is where emotional intelligence comes into play and really sort of being aware, self-aware and thinking about like how do I feel when I eat a bowl of ice cream or if I get really stressed out, what am I likely to do? Right? A lot of people have a stress response, and that might be the key to understanding yourself and overcoming your addiction. All right. Now I did say I would answer some questions in here, so let me answer a few questions. Now, one thing I'm gonna do really quickly is mention another area of artificial intelligence, and I'm gonna give you a couple stocks worth looking at. Um, Cloud computing and data infrastructure is going to be massive. Companies are spending trillions of dollars buying these data centers everywhere, and they're putting a lot of them like in black neighborhoods and stuff. Like Memphis is real big, Atlanta's real big on data centers. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's the thing. And companies like Microsoft and Amazon are at the top of the pile with that.